Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and ironic stories in history: how gold, the very thing that made Spain the most powerful empire on earth, eventually became the reason for its downfall. This is the story of greed, conquest, and the heavy price of endless wealth. When Spanish explorers first arrived in the New World in the late 15th century, they were driven by one obsession: gold. The tales of vast riches in the Americas filled their imagination. Conquistadors like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro conquered mighty civilizations like the Aztecs and the Incas, seizing unimaginable amounts of gold and silver. Ship after ship returned to Spain loaded with treasure, turning the kingdom into the richest nation in Europe almost overnight. At first, it seemed like a golden age had begun. The Spanish crown used the wealth to finance grand palaces, vast armies, and global expansion. Spain became a superpower, dominating Europe, the Americas, and the seas. However, this sudden flood of gold was more of a curse than a blessing. It didn't take long for the economic consequences to appear. With so much gold and silver pouring in, inflation skyrocketed. Prices of goods soared, and the value of money dropped dramatically. Ordinary people suffered while the elite continued to spend recklessly. Instead of investing in industries, trade, or technology, Spain relied entirely on the treasure from its colonies. This dependency meant that when the gold began to slow, the empire had no strong economy to fall back on. Spanish industries declined, craftsmen disappeared, and the country began importing most of its goods from other nations like England and the Netherlands, ironically enriching Spain's rivals. The easy flow of gold also led to corruption and complacency. Nobles and officials grew lazy, preferring luxury over productivity. The belief that wealth could simply be extracted rather than earned became deeply rooted. Meanwhile, Spain's endless wars in Europe, financed by colonial treasure, drained the royal treasury. The country fought costly battles to maintain dominance, especially against England and France, leading to massive debts. By the 17th century, Spain's once mighty empire was showing cracks. The mines of the Americas were beginning to dry up, and rival European powers had learned from Spain's mistakes. They focused on trade, innovation, and production rather than pure conquest. Spain's economy, built on unstable foundations of gold, began to collapse. Inflation, bankruptcy, and political corruption crippled the empire from within. In the end, gold didn't just fail to secure Spain's greatness, it destroyed it. The wealth that should have built a lasting empire instead fueled greed, arrogance, and waste. Spain's obsession with treasure blinded it to the real sources of power: innovation, hard work, and sustainable growth. The story of the Spanish Empire stands as a powerful reminder that wealth without wisdom can become a nation's undoing. Gold brought Spain glory, but it also buried its empire under the weight of its own greed.